Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm playing video games. So for the next year hasn't started, it's currently 12/12/2025. But for 2026, I decided I will no longer watch YouTube videos. I'm deciding to take a year off. Now, I'm trying to figure out what else to do with my existence if I'm not going to watch YouTube in my free time, so I decided I'm going to try out video games. You know, video games are something I am familiar with. I didn't play a lot of them growing up, but I know what a video game is. So we're going to try these video game things, and I'm just going to ramble. So I played this game before. This was something I think I played it first in high school. I'm familiar with it. The only video game I really played a lot of growing up was the Stickman series, the war series with stick figures. So I decided to look into fair use copyright since I'm deciding to do some videos in which I talk about webcomics, and I decided to learn more about fair use copyright. It's quite an interesting thing, and I'm very ignorant of it, but it's something I want to learn about. Anywho, I like just Jay Schlatt, a decent YouTuber, by the way. I'm not claiming you should watch him or not watch him. He did something which I think he called it like the weekly slap. I don't think it was ever weekly, but I kind of like that idea in which he just sort of sits down and rants about life. I kind of like the idea of a podcast. I've done a couple of podcast episodes. One of them was with a good friend of mine I'm just going to call Big B. Out of all, Big D was the first person I think I've ever made feel very uncomfortable, and I'm quite proud of that. I always like making him feel uncomfortable because he's just such a kind person. He's just too good for this world, so I need to do things to make him feel very uncomfortable with himself. So what have I been doing in my life? Been helping out at a small company learning about R&D tax credits, which is research and development tax credits, which has been kind of interesting. It's kind of weird the things you do in life just to survive and scrape by. I have no doubt that one day I'm going to be a very successful person and I'm going to have my life in great order. But until then, I'm just trying to figure things out. There's the old saying, I was talking with a professor, gosh, this was a pretty long time ago, and we were talking about forgiveness, and she was a lovely person, and she said, you know what? I fairly recently forgave myself for being so unknowledgeable at my job. By the way, this is not a person who is unknowledgeable. I've met a lot of professors I'm like, you really shouldn't be allowed to teach. This person was actually very, very knowledgeable at what they did. But they were talking about the fact that they just didn't really feel like they knew what they were doing with their life. This was a woman, gosh, I think she was in her 60s. That kind of just made me chuckle. This is a very successful 60-year-old woman who's built herself up from the ground up and has created a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful life for herself. And she still feels, from time to time, like she doesn't know what she's doing with her life. And that's just crazy to me, There was a time in my life in which I was pretty interested in Taoism. And what I liked about Taoism was this sort of peace of mind that came from the fact that, you never really know for certain what you're doing with your life. But now, recently, I've been trying to figure out how I'm going to teach myself Japanese. So what I decided to do is I was going to buy some manga in Japanese. I really like the Chainsaw series manga, and I have some familiarity with it, and I thought, well, it'd be kind of nice if I can get that in its original language, because I have some of it in English. So I started saving up for that. It would be a slow process, but I think it would be kind of nice to learn some Japanese by reading some manga. Seems like a good idea. There really isn't any point to this video, it's just kind of me rambling. I'm gonna make a couple videos like this, just rambles, just so I can get more of a feel of how uploading videos works and stuff like that. But I am working on a Slay the Princess video. Unfortunately for the Slay the Princess video, I'm going to have to do some research into a good video editing, screen recording software, because the traditional screen recorder that comes with like Windows 11, it doesn't really work for what I'm wanting to do with it. So I'm going to have to do some research into that, which is going to be kind of difficult. Another thing that I've been doing to help me learn Japanese is that there's an international, I don't know its technical name, I'm just going to call it International Conversation Hour, even though it's only 45 minutes, in which at one of the libraries I go to, they have people from different parts of the world who are immigrants come together and speak about what it's like, you know, sort of being an immigrant. And I've gone once so far, and unfortunately no one showed up. And I was told that usually they have 6 to 20 people show up. So that would be, I really hope next time I show up, some people show up. Since the first time I showed up, it was just me and the librarian who was running the thing. By the way, it was very nice to talk with the librarian. We got talking about the JET program. The JET program is a foreign exchange program. It's a program you can do if you want to teach English in a foreign country. I am looking into being a member of the JETS program, so it was very nice to be able to ask her some questions about the JET program. So that would be kind of nice if I can go there, and if there happens to be someone who I connect with who speaks Japanese, that could be a very nice opportunity to practice my Japanese. Learning Japanese for some reason is just something I feel as though I need to do. Well, not need to do, but it would greatly enhance my life if I was able to do it before I died. There's just something about the Japanese culture and language that seems to fit well with me. And whenever I say that, people assume that I must be very big into anime. I really didn't get big into anime till I think like 2 or 3 years ago. My introduction with Japanese culture sort of came from me doing martial arts growing up. And at least the martial arts I did came from Okinawa, Japan. So I got kind of interested in Japanese culture, and then as I learned more about Japan and Okinawa, I was very interested in the history of Okinawa, and especially the Okinawan dialect. It's kind of a very poor analogy from someone who can't speak Japanese very well, if at all, is the Okinawan accent is kind of, some people see it as less proper than mainland Japan. Personally, I don't really find it to be less proper, but then again, I don't know a lot about Japan. Another thing I just find humorous about Japan is just how in the Japanese language, almost every introduction you learn is some form of apology. Like, I'm sorry to speak with you right now, but could we speak, you know? And I just find that hilarious that it seems like every introduction you can say is in some way a form of apology. Another thing I've been looking into is I want to learn the Japanese alphabet. So I'm planning on writing the Book of Job, at least the phonetics of it, in English. So the phonetics of it, meaning I want to write the Book of Job in English, but using Japanese letters. So when I read it, I would read it in English, but I would familiarize myself with the Japanese alphabet. Since that was a very tricky thing for me, was kind of since I did try to learn Japanese before, and then life life took different paths. So that would be kind of nice if I can learn the Japanese alphabet, the phonetics of it. And I can do that by practicing. Yeah, I can do that by practicing my um by writing it down in English, which has been kind of nice.